Cheers, everybody. We are back. It's Bourbon on a Budget, and we are here to review something. I'm going to kick it right to Brendan.
Oh, my.
Before we do anything else, and I want Brendan to tell us what we're reviewing, then we'll talk about the scoring system again, give you guys a quick refresher, and then we'll get into it. Brendan,
you're putting me right on the spot there, but I can handle it, my big boy. Can you guys see this? Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, big boy, I can see it.
All right.
Man.
All right, but for the people listening to this, they may not be able to see it because they're listening, and and they can only hear it. So this is Woodinville Rye. Woodinville is a craft distillery in Washington State, kind of in the suburbs of Seattle. I will actually be in Seattle in a couple months. Maybe I'll hit up Woodinville Distillery. We'll see. So it is a straight rye. The mash bill is actually 100% rye. It is all rye in the mash bill there. Yeah, it's 100% rye. So for someone like myself, who has kind of gotten into the rye game recently, this is going to be interesting. But let's see. It's a straight rye. That means it's at least 2 years old. Like I said, it's from the Woodinville Whiskey Company that's been around since 2010. They do a lot of different releases, have won a lot of different awards and whatnot. This specific offering from them is proofed at 90. Let's see. Oh, it's finished in a pot still, which is important to know because it's going to kind of smooth out some of the flavors a little bit. We'll get to that in the tasting notes, obviously, but I do think that shows up. It is available for about $36 to $40. I found it locally at one of my local shops up here. You can find it online, so it's not super hard to find. Not readily available, though, however, but something if you do a little bit of digging on, you can probably find if you're interested.
Cool. Woodinville Rye. Go ahead, Ben.
So if you were Matthew McConaughey and you were looking at this rye,
I'd say, all right.
All
right. Thanks, big boy.
I don't get it. I thought I was big boy.
All right.
That was you. I was saying thanks to you.
Okay. But I thought maybe Ben did a joke. I
ignored Ben's comments like most weeks.
Valid.
Scoring system for those that are just checking us out. And if you are, you have about, 20 episodes to catch up on. So go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Bourbon on a Budget. Scoring system, you get 2 points. It's out of 10. You get 2 points for the nose, 4 points for the taste, 1 point for the finish, 1 point for cohesiveness and complexity, and 2 points for value. We take the first 8 and figure it out. And then based on what we get out of that second 8, that first 8, whether it be 4 out of 8, 2 out of 8, 3 out of 8, whatever, we assign it a value based on whatever you want it to be based on, but primarily score, price, proof, and availability. All that said, Ben, tell me about the nose on this thing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this nose a lot. It has very similar characteristics from, if you remember our High West Double Rye episode, is very similar on the nose. A little bit of funkiness, a little bit of oak, vanilla, a little bit of mint. Oh yeah, this is very nice.
I'm getting a lot of mint on it. I think it's like a straight spearmint. There's some funkiness for sure.
Yeah.
But the mint that's on it, coming from that rye for sure. Brendan says 100%, right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Don't take my joke.
Big boy can do what he wants.
Brendan, tell us about the nose, big boy.
It is funky. That's how I would describe it too. But it is weird to me. It's not. You guys both described it as funky, but it's not super like rye forward for something that's 100% rye. Like it is. There is that brininess and the mintiness that I get from the rye, but I also get like the sweet, spicy, and fruity as well.
Yeah.
Like I find this to be a pretty complex nose. Herbally, like raspberry tea, clove, cinnamon, some baking spices, a little bit of vanilla and dark chocolate too. So to me, this has a ton going on in the nose for something that's only 90 proof.
You just named every scent known to man.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's all there.
So complexity.
Very complex. Very complex.
Taste. Have you sipped any of it yet, Ben? I have. So waiting on you.
Yeah, I kind of almost get like a definitely a little bit of the mint, but I almost get like a black licorice on the palate. But it's nice. And I hate black licorice.
You're gonna ruin it for me. Oh.
No, I love black licorice. I don't get it as much. I mean, I definitely get the mint off of it. It's not as spicy as you would think. Like Brendan kind of talked about that with the nose. Like taste. Brendan, what are you thinking?
I get this weird it's gonna sound crazy because there's no wheat in this. There's no corn either. I got like a biscuity kind of pastry vibe to it, and that kind of goes like sourdough almost. That goes with the weird funky nose. It kind of transitions to the like almost biscuity malty. I do get cinnamon, so maybe that's what my brain's absorbing, the spice that Ben's getting with the licorice. I'm getting that in the form of cinnamon for me. That rice spice is like throughout, but it's never super like overpowering. And also it's got like this buttery, I don't even know about flavor, but mouthfeel. It's got a buttery mouthfeel as well. Red apple too, TJ. Red apple as well.
For being, you guys talked a lot about the flavors, and so I won't try and expound upon that. But yeah, for being a 90 proof, it's got a good mouthfeel. It's not got like a super thick viscosity. Great word.
Great word.
But it does have a very pleasant mouthfeel. But it is pretty easy to drink. I mean, being proof down to 90 kind of makes sense on that. I'd love to get a souped up version of this.
They have a cask strength. Apparently, it's sold only at the distillery. Maybe when I go out there in August,
grab one.
Get 10 or 10. So I'm that thirsty. So my wife asked the other day, why did you pour this? And I was like, I was super thirsty. And she like kind of bought it for like half. She's like, oh, babe. So anyway, finish. How's it finish, Ben? As you drink out of your Yeti cup.
Real quick, while Ben drinking out of his Yeti cup, I mentioned that it's finished, or it's not finished. It's made through a pot still, right? So rather than a column still, pot still kind of smooths things out a little bit. So I think that may be what's at play here a little bit. Just throwing that out there. That pot still is making a difference. Get their money's worth out of the pot still.
That makes sense. Finish, Ben.
Yeah, I think the finish is pretty solid. For a 90 proof, there's a good amount of linger to it. A little bit of pepperiness, a little vanilla. But it's nice. Yeah, I would definitely take this. I don't know the price on this yet because this is Brendan's selection. So
I did say it.
I did say it. You were just not listening. $36 to $40.
That's not bad. So for the finish based on price, this is pretty solid. So yeah.
Nutty coffee for me on the finish, like chock full of nuts.
Like nut pods. Like when Ben and I are on Whole 30 and have to drink nut pods in our coffee.
Nut pods.
Yeah. Brutal. And then my wife
My
wife buys like one of each, and then she always gets like an original one. I was like, who wants this? Like, get the flavors.
I don't know what those taste like, but does this taste like a nut pod to you, TJ? Like, are you getting that? Does it taste like a nutty variation of coffee, the finish? Because I'm getting that at the end.
Slightly. Okay. Not really what
whatever. Fruity. It's like this almost kind of like veers to like tropical fruit for me. Like, it's refreshing. I guess I'll put the finish that way. It's refreshing. It goes down smoothly. A little bit of pepperiness, like Ben said. It's nice.
All right, so you guys ready to rate this thing? Let's roll. Ben, where you at on the nose on this thing?
Nose. Out of 2, I would go 1 1/4 here. It's definitely above average, pleasant, but there's a little bit of funk to it. Not that it's bad, just it's unique. So you have to be ready for that. So 1 1/4.
Brendan.
Ben nailed it. 1.25 for the exact same reasons he said. It's nice, a little bit of funky. Interesting for sure, but just not like one that you want to keep sniffing. It is a little rigorous and challenging. So 1.25.
Man, I was at 1 1/4 until I let it sit for a little bit and open up. I'm not loving the nose. What has happened just in the 5, 6, 7 minutes that we've been reviewing it.
Yeah,
the nose kind of has taken a downturn to me. I'd have been at 1.25. It's lucky that I'm stopping at 1. I want to go a little lower. It almost gets like a weird funk that's not pleasant on it. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to turn anybody else off. Power suggestion is very real, but I'm just going to say it's dropped a bit for me. Not a full half a point, but I'm going to go down to a 1 on the nose. Brendan, taste.
I'm going to go with 2 1/4. Certainly above average. Probably closer. Actually, you know what? 2.5. I'm going to go 2.5. It's nice. It's complex. It actually has a ton going on with the flavors. So I'm going to say that like it's certainly interesting and unique. I've only had probably like 6 or 7 ryes. This one definitely stands out for the proof as one that's fairly interesting. So above average, 2.5.
I'm going to agree with you on that one and say that I do like the some people are going to hear this and hate it, but I do like the kind of licorice taste that comes in. I like the mint. It's proved down, so it's pretty easy to drink. We talked about the good mouthfeel. It's above average to me, 2.5. The nose doesn't carry over and hurt it at all. Ben, taste.
I think I'm slightly less than you guys at 2 1/4. But for this being 90 proof, there is a lot of flavor and taste going on. So the more you drink it, the more kind of you can dive into it. So 2.25 for me.
You keep it going, Ben, with the finish. You said you liked this finish. Talk to us about where and how you rated it.
Yeah, so finish is out of 1. And so in my head, I would say this is slightly, about average, maybe a little bit above. So 0.75. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt here.
Ooh.
The Ben a fit of the doubt. Brendan.
I see what you did there. All right.
You're dead to me.
I'm so hilarious.
Best review we've ever done.
I'm going to go 0.5. I know Ben was a little bit higher than me, but for the reasons he was kind of toying with between the 0.5 and 0.75, it's average. It's good. It's nice. It's nothing to write home about. It is pleasant. 0.5.
Brendan nailed it. 0.5 for me as well. Cohesiveness and complexity. We'll go Brendan this time.
This gets a full. So out of 1 point, it gets a full 1 for me. And this goes back to the origins of checking both the boxes. It's cohesive. Like there is some of that rye and funkiness that shows up throughout, but also very complex for the reasons mentioned before, where it hits fruitiness, it hits sweet, it hits spicy. There's a lot going on for a relatively priced and modestly proofed. I was going to say bourbon, whiskey, rye here going on.
I got the same thing. Same exact reason. It gets the full point for me. It's both cohesive and complex. I wouldn't say it's the most cohesive thing or the most complex thing that we've ever had, but just by that standard of checking both boxes, full 1. Ben.
Yeah, I'll agree with TJ that it is not the most complete, cohesive, not the most complex. So 0.75.
I went 0.5. Why'd you say you agreed with me?
You said 1.
I said 1. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you agree with me on the reasoning, but just give it.
I agree with you the reasoning, but I'm 0.75.
Hey, this
Close.
I'm going to do a real quick scan before we get any further into this.
I feel like it's pretty high rated.
No, it's not. It's
No,
average.
it is.
It did okay. But what I want to look at, because what is very remarkable is that
Keep my double rye.
this is the closest thing that we reviewed pre-value to date. Ben and I both with a 5 out of 8, and Brendan with a 5.25 out of 8. We got there different ways, but we were pretty lockstep on this. So 5 and 5.25 for Brendan, who again is a homer because he picked this. Pretty close scores here. Brendan, you go last. Ben, you start us off with your value score. Again, we said this was a $36 to $40 value. $46 to. My goodness, back it up.
This is a $66 to $40 value.
$36 to $40 bottle. I'm not editing that out. People will like that.
Oh no.
36,
that made a really weird face.
Yeah, $36 to $40 value. 90 proof. Not readily available, but fairly available. Ben, where's your value at?
I would say this is slightly above average at 1.25. I think there's a lot going on. You're either going to enjoy a lot going on or not. So if you can try it before you buy it, try it. But there's a lot of value here, in my opinion, at least for flavor.
I'm going with a 1. I think the low-ish proof and the not available every single place probably docks it just a bit. But it's definitely an above average bourbon. I give it a full point above what we would consider average, would be 4 out of 8. So I give it a 1 on value. Maybe lean slightly higher than that, but not the full quarter point. So if we were at 8 of points, I'd probably give it the 1.125, but we're not. So I give it a 1. Brendan.
I'm going to go with a 1.5. You call me a homer all you want. I'm looking back at old scores.
Ooh.
Again, this is a nice, good rye, one that I think is accessible both in terms of you could find it, it's affordable and accessible, like for someone who's newer into rye. Like it doesn't quite slap you in the face with rye spice either, so it's someone that's trying to transition into it at the price. And also I'm looking back here, like I had Elijah Craig and I had a 5 out of 8 initially, and I gave it a 1. No, I had a 4.75 out of 8, and I gave it a 1.5 for value, and that's a $30 bottle. So this is one that I view a little bit better. If I'm being consistent, trying to be with my value score, 1.5. I'm not gonna apologize for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think that is totally fine and totally acceptable. To kind of give some reasoning or some standard behind it, Elijah Craig is proofed slightly higher. It's also much more accessible. And so that's kind of where it probably got a little bit of a higher value score from me. Whereas pound for pound, I probably like this bourbon better, but its value, it being priced a little bit higher, a little lower proof, a little harder to find. That's kind of how we can all get to different final scores and it be okay, right? Like that, there's no perfect metric to say that like if it's this price, it has to be this value. So I enjoy it. Brendan with a 6.75 leading the pack today. Ben with a 6.25, and this might be the first time in history that I am the lowest. Actually, I'm fairly certain
that might be.
I'm the homer. I'm always the one that overrates things. I'm looking right now.
And for a rye too, TJ, for you to be low on a rye is interesting.
So like double rye, I was the highest. Old Forester 100. I have never been the lowest before. I have been tied for the lowest, and we all gave Willet Pot Still a 4. You know what? I was the lowest on Wild Turkey 101. As crazy as that is.
But we're not far off. I mean, we're talking about the difference between the high for me being 6.75, you being below 6. We're all on kind of the same page.
Which brings our composite. This does not make the big board, doesn't it? 6.33333333.
We need a banger, guys. Like it's been it's been probably a month since we've had someone make it onto there. Yeah, the double rye was the last one.
I thought our tasting notes here were pretty similar to double rye. I remember drinking this and being like, man, this is pretty similar.
So
double rye's nose is better to me. We all gave double rye's nose a point and a half. Well, we all gave it a point and a half, and then here it got a point and a quarter twice, and I gave it a 1 because of how it. And double rye's nose doesn't change like this did.
Yeah, I would say that just as a rebuttal to the availability factor on affordability, this is not one of the products you bought up above MSRP. So if you can find it, you're going to be paying what MSRP is versus Eagle Rare or something that's less similarly availability, but you're gonna be bought up or potentially have to pay over market. So
and you can find it. You can find it online. Like if you Google it, you can find it online and buy it. Now it goes from $36 or $40 to once you pay for shipping another $15. And that point, you can find better. You can find better values at that point. So that's something to consider.
I hate how low price stuff will be on online, but then you have to pay for the shipping. It's definitely annoying. So anyway. So I'm adding this to my collection. We're running out of time here. I assume both of you guys are adding this to your collection or no?
It's in my collection. Now, when it's gone, I don't know if I'm going to rush out to replace it, but it is one that I will say this. I want to try their bourbon, and they also have a port finish bourbon because this was high quality. I am intrigued to try more Woodinville stuff. I'll leave it at that. I think that's fair.
I would say I don't gain additional utility in my collection from having a double rye and Woodinville, so I'd probably just shy towards double rye at similar price points and availability. So
you can find the double rye a little bit cheaper, probably. You get the ABC points for it, and you can always find it. So that's where I would fall. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I think that actually might be a good head-to-head. And just based off Ben saying that, I'm going to flip back and say that no, for the same price, I'm going to take. I'm going to take double rye on this one, but it was good. It was enjoyable. We all rated it above average, 6 1/3 out of 10. There's not, that's a solid above average rye. Good pick, Brendan. That was you don't do many things well, but you did that well today. So thank you so much. Hey, Bourbon on a Budget, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, just TikTok. Brendan's uploading, fight videos on there between different bourbons and stuff. So follow us on all the social medias that you can think of or find, minus Snapchat and whatever the 10-year-olds are using these days. But follow us on social media, interact with us there. Again, we really appreciate the interactions. And we'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
All right. Cheers. All right.
Thanks, big boy.